The US-Japan trade standoff, a deadline that could reshape global commerce with mounting intensity. As the clock ticks toward the July 9 deadline, the world's third largest economy finds itself locked in a high-stakes trade standoff with the United States. What began as a sweeping declaration of economic nationalism by President Donald Trump has now escalated into a full-blown diplomatic and economic crisis for Japan. With the threat of crippling tariffs looming, Tokyo is scrambling to protect its most vital industries, while Washington shows no signs of backing down. On April 2nd, 2025, Trump declared what he called Liberation Day for American trade. In a fiery speech, he announced a blanket 10% tariff on all imports and warned that countries with significant trade surpluses with the US would face even harsher penalties, up to 50% tariffs on select goods. Japan, with a $69.4 billion trade surplus in 2024, was immediately thrust into the spotlight. Trump gave nations 90 days to negotiate bilateral trade deals or face the consequences. That grace period ends on July 9th, and Japan has yet to secure an agreement. With gravity, at the heart of the dispute are two sectors that define Japan's export economy: automobiles and agriculture. Japanese automakers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan are staring down the barrel of a 25 to 35% tariff hike, an existential threat to their competitiveness in the US market. Meanwhile, Trump has repeatedly lambasted Japan's agricultural policies, accusing Tokyo of blocking US rice imports and calling it a massive rice shortage issue. The message from Washington is clear: open your markets or pay the price. Negotiations have been intense but fruitless. Japan's chief trade envoy, Rose Akazawa, has made multiple trips to Washington in recent weeks, engaging in marathon talks with US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Yet, despite what officials describe as in-depth exchanges, no breakthrough has been achieved. Trump, never one to mince words, told reporters aboard Air Force One, "I doubt we're going to make a deal with Japan. They've been ripping us off for 30, 40 years." The comment sent shockwaves through Tokyo's political and business circles. With foreboding, the economic consequences of a failed deal could be devastating. Japanese exports to the US would be hit with billions in new tariffs, triggering supply chain disruptions across the auto, electronics, and semiconductor industries. Domestically, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is under mounting pressure. With upper house elections just weeks away, the trade standoff threatens to become a political liability. Business leaders are urging the government to find a resolution fast. Yet the path forward remains murky. Some analysts believe a last-minute mini-deal could still materialize. Such an agreement might include modest concessions from Japan, perhaps a limited increase in US rice imports, in exchange for partial tariff exemptions on automobiles or electronics. Others warn that Trump's administration is preparing to send take-it-or-leave-it letters to 12 countries, including Japan, on July 7th. If that happens, Tokyo may be forced to choose between economic pain and political humiliation. This is more than a bilateral dispute. The outcome of the US-Japan trade talks could set the tone for global commerce in the years ahead. If Trump succeeds in forcing Japan to capitulate, it could embolden similar demands on other trade partners. If Japan holds firm, it risks a trade war, that could ripple through global markets already strained by inflation and geopolitical instability. In the final days before the deadline, the world watches with bated breath. Will diplomacy prevail? Or will one of the most important trade relationships in the world fracture under pressure? The answer will shape not just the future of US-Japan relations, but the very architecture of global trade.